Hey guys, I think I'm live. Sorry, there's like a little slight delay on that. Alrighty, hello. Happy Wednesday. Today is May the 15th. My name is Tracy, also known as Healthy Happy Momsy, and I am here for the whole month of May every day to do go lives talking about Celiac Awareness Month. Today's topic is eating healthy. How do you do it when you're going gluten-free? So, there's this misperception out there. And let me give a little background because people might be like, well, who are you to share this information? So my name is Tracy. I am a certified health and wellness coach. I spent 17 years in pharmaceutical sales and I learned a lot. I carried a lot of medicines that really helped a lot of patients. But 10 years ago when my daughter and I were diagnosed with celiac, I started looking into understanding celiac better, started looking into nutrition better, and had kind of my own little journey that I'm going to talk about today. So 2 years ago, I actually left pharmaceutical sales to pursue being a work-at-home mom. And like I said, I'm a certified health and wellness coach, and I'm also partnered with an amazing nutrition company that allows me to be able to support my family. So, all right, how come just eating gluten-free isn't healthy? Well, I've got to tell you a little bit about my journey here. I messed this up, and I messed it up for about 3 years. And this is how you can tell how far along somebody is sometimes in their journey of their celiac diagnosis. So when I was first diagnosed with celiac in 2009, I lived in Eastern North Carolina. There weren't a whole lot of options for pre-made gluten-free items. So that first year I had to, and I was married at the time, we did a little bit more cooking. We tried to learn a little bit more about gluten-free. I went with a program called e-meals where you could actually get a low budget meal plan for the week. And that was super helpful with my transition into initially going gluten-free because, hey, there's my plan. And I know what I'm cooking. I know what I need to buy. It tells you exactly what you need to buy for your groceries. That was super helpful. But a year later, when I got divorced and my pharmaceutical company moved me from Eastern North Carolina to Greensboro, North Carolina, I got so excited because one of the things that I tried to do for my daughter was I tried to substitute the equivalent to whatever it is that they were serving at her daycare. I worked full time. She was in daycare. And, it's one of those things as a parent, you don't want your child to completely stand out. And speaking of, we have a special guest down here in case you hear her. My tripod dog, Belle, has just decided to come into the office. I just took her out to go potty. I think she's looking for a bone, but she's going to have to wait. So anyway, this is what happens when you work from home. All right. So I was basically substituting what my daughter was eating at her daycare for the gluten-free version of it. And I felt like a great mom because it meant that my daughter, could feel like the other kids. And then also I found all these great things because of the grocery stores that were here had so much more than we did at Eastern North Carolina. And I found all these pre-made gluten-free things. And I was like, oh, all my favorites. I get to have them again. This is amazing. And then a few years later, I noticed because, my motto was if it's gluten-free, it's healthy for me. Never mind the fact that this is still processed food because this was very early into my journey about learning about ingredients and reading labels and knowing what I was putting into my body. All I knew was gluten-free. That's it. Well, it's kind of like that whole phase of the fat-free. And if you're still living on the fat-free train and you think that fat-free means that it's great for you, I'm going to tell you, flip your container over and start looking at your sugar and carbs. There's your reason why you've gained so much weight. I still remember that same experience in high school when I thought, and I remember telling my science teacher, oh yeah, they're fat-free jelly beans. I can eat all I want. They're great. They're healthy. And I remember my science teacher saying, no, you're not learning what you need to be learning in my class if you think that. And he was very right. So same thing with gluten-free. Just because it's gluten-free, that does not mean that it's healthy. It means that it's safe for people who cannot eat gluten, as long as it's properly labeled. But it does not mean that it's healthy. So what happened was in 2012, I was trying to figure out how I had gained all this weight. I was about 10 pounds over my weight, because everybody has a number on the scale that you see it, and bad words might start coming out of your mouth, or substitutes for bad words might come out of your mouth. We kind of all have a number that makes us hit that panic button, and I was 10 pounds over that. But I didn't understand because I was like, if I'm eating gluten-free and it's healthy, how am I gaining so much weight? Something just doesn't make sense. And about that time, I read Dr. William Davis's book, Wheat Belly. And, and everything was making sense with all the issues with genetic wheat and all that stuff. And there was this point that he came to the book, and I did the audiobook because with driving, that's just what works for me. I did Audible. And I remember hearing him say, and if you're eating all this pre-made gluten-free stuff, you're eating just as badly as everybody else. And I was like, no, wait a second, what? That's when I learned the pre-made gluten-free stuff, the sugar count, the carbohydrate count in those foods, it's worse. So a lot of the time they use ingredients like rice flour and potato starch, and that is going to raise the sugar content. And sugar is what's really feeding a lot of these other diseases. So I also had migraine headaches at the time, and I had really bad allergies. I was actually on allergy shots. And, I actually noticed when I moved to Greensboro, which to me, I was like, I blame Greensboro. I was like, God, my migraines are getting so much worse. And I knew that it was tied in a little bit with my female hormones, with my menstrual cycle. But I was just like, Greensboro is just awful. What have I done? I've moved to this place where my allergies are just awful. I was still getting the injections, but I felt horrible. And I was having to use my migraine injection much more frequently than I wanted to. I mean, at least once a month I was using it. I was like, something's just not right. That was my rescue migraine med, not just my oral, because the oral wasn't quite cutting it. The migraines were getting worse. And what happened was, because of the autoimmune response going on, the inflammation going on in my body, that sugar was feeding it. It was making it worse. So whereas I thought, well, I'm treating my celiac, I'm eating gluten-free, but I wasn't completely understanding what was in those ingredients and what I was doing to my body. So in 2012, that's when I decided that I was going to change what I was doing. I saw a couple of pictures that, guys, ladies, we've seen them at times, those pictures where we're embarrassed by those pictures. That's maybe when the moms start to hide behind their kids, using their kids as wonderful props in those holiday pictures. And, or the moms suddenly become the ones that are on the other side of the camera. They're not actually in the pictures anymore. They're the ones taking the pictures because they're not happy with what they see. And that's what it felt like. I took a trip with my team back in April of 2012, and I saw several pictures. We were at the Grand Canyon, and all I could think was, who is that person? What have I just let myself turn into? I'm divorced. I'm a single mom. And I'm eating gluten-free thinking that it's healthy, but oh my gosh, like that is and it wasn't just one picture, it was picture after picture that was so unflattering. And I didn't understand it because I truly thought that I was eating healthy. So like I said, I was reading Dr. Davis's book, Wheat Belly, and I learned, okay, well, let me go back and start paying attention to what's in my food. And he actually recommended another author, a cookbook author, Maria Emmerich, and she cooks grain-free, sugar-free. And so I was like, okay, let me give this a go. And it's not that I had spare time because, like I said, I was a full-time mom, single mom, working outside the home, had primary custody of my daughter at the time. So, not having a whole lot of time off from, work long days, had a decent-sized territory, at least an hour on most days of how far I could drive. And then come home, take care of my daughter, spend time with her, get food cooked, try to get her to bed on time, then try to do my computer work after hours, and try to get some sleep. I mean, I had nothing left in me, and now I'm going to take on cooking. But I knew the way that I felt and the way that I looked, I wasn't going to be a great mom, a great employee, a great friend, a great person in a relationship. I had nothing to give back. So I decided to take this leap of faith. I started committing a lot of my weekends to cooking and following a lot of Maria Emmerich's recipes. Like I said, grain-free, sugar-free, and her way of cooking, actually, I've now come to know as keto, because it's a little bit more in depth than just that. And we're doing that because of my daughter with her seizures. We're doing a little bit more of those now. But when I started to learn how to cook, I lost the weight. And I was so grateful to have lost that weight. And I was able to keep it off for 2 years. I will say in part of my story here, if you haven't heard it though, that I still lived in the kitchen. And so as a single mom, that was the downside to it. I felt great. I looked better. I could fit in clothes better. I was in comfortably between a size 4 and a size 6. I was pretty happy. I did, however, discover 2 years later an amazing nutrition program that really helped me to get rid of the toxins. And, I've shared before, if you want to hear more about that, please message me or comment below. I'd love to share that with you. It has truly changed my life. That's actually how I can now, like I said, work from home, is because of the referral rebates that we get with this program. It's amazing. But here's my point in saying that. As far as the gluten-free doesn't just mean that it's healthy for you. We have to understand what's actually in those foods. We have to understand the comorbid issues of other inflammation, other autoimmune diseases. We have to understand the inflammation that happens in our body, because processed food is processed food. Gluten-free or not, it is still processed food. And if you're putting junk in your body and you want your body to work right, your body's only going to do that for so long. In your 20s, your body can handle a lot more than when you hit your 30s and 40s. I'm now 43 years old, and I have to take good care of myself. I know that the hormone changes are going on. I know the importance of it, and I also know that it's more important now to take care of myself because I watched the decline in my mom's health after she turned 40. That fuels me, being able to help other people to take care of themselves. It's important to understand that. Celiac is part of who we are, and it's a big part of how we live and how we eat, but it cannot be the only thing that defines us. So if you're eating processed food, it's important to start looking for shopping the perimeter of the grocery store. Look for recipes that are gluten-free that are also healthy. Look for less processed food. I'm not going to tell you that we don't eat processed food in my house because I'm not going to lie. We follow an 80-20 rule. 20% of the time, we enjoy those nice little things in life. 80% of the time, we tend to eat a healthier meals. For what's worked for us has been a balance of our macros, the carbs, fats, and proteins, for the beginning part of the day. Later in the day is when I try to really reduce the carb and the sugar intake, because the carb and sugar intake the later in the day, that's going to just turn into fat storage, and that's not going to really do a whole lot of help for you. So we do need some fats, we do need carbs, we do need proteins. We all need that in our system. We all need that for our bodies to function. But you've got to figure out the right balance. And if you're eating a lot of processed food, gluten-free or not, if you have celiac, you don't have the option of gluten-free or not. But if you're eating a lot of processed food, then you are eating, by default, a boatload of carbs, a boatload of sugar. That is part of what's going into those preservatives. That is part of what's keeping it so that it actually tastes good. And yeah, especially those really, really good gluten-free things that I found, like the cupcakes, that were just, they're to die for. Some of them, they're amazing. You still have to limit it. And if you've got a sugar issue, I get it. Believe me, breaking my sugar issue in 2012 was hard. Figure out how to do different substitutes. Some of the things that I do, and if you want to follow my blog, eandmegfree.com, which I've been posting the link on this, if you check that out, then you'll see that I do a lot of different substitutes. I will use sweeteners that actually reduce the glycemic index in the foods instead of raising them. Using Splenda instead of sugar. I know a lot of diabetics, guys, you may or may not have been told that this is a good thing. You need to understand Splenda is actually going to spike your glycemic index after the fact. Splenda is not a good substitute. There are multiple other options out there if you're looking at things like chicory root. Swerve is a fantastic option. It's very highly available in a lot of grocery stores, also on Amazon. Chicory root would be just like sugar brown. They've got monk fruit sweetener. There's stevia. There are a ton of different substitutes. Erythritol and xylitol, which are great for us, but really bad for your dogs. Do not let your dogs near stuff if you've got erythritol or xylitol in it, including chewing gum. There's great ways that you can still eat healthy. You can still stay gluten-free, and you still don't have to live in the kitchen. Yes, you've got to cook from time to time. You don't have to completely live in the kitchen, though. If you're looking for some of those ideas, I do have on my eandmegfree.com. You can also sign up for 5 days of free lunch plans to help out with some different plans. There's links to recipes in there. There's also options for things that are easily purchased, that are not total junk. There's a good balance of information in there. So anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to hit on today is gluten-free does not automatically mean healthy. Do not use it as a fad diet. That has hurt those of us that have the credibility of eating gluten-free, because gluten-free is healthier for us, but gluten-free processed food is still processed food. So keep that in mind. If you want to know more about my journey when I changed in 2012, and this is my quick little sneak peek information that I have to share with you guys. In 2012, when I decided to fully be accountable for changing what I was doing, Tracy McCain, who is one of our local news anchors, had talked about her journey with getting healthier. She actually had her personal trainer at the time, Jason Davis, come into her home, come into her kitchen and help her with making better choices for what was in the pantry, what was in her fridge, what was in her freezer. And she made a call out to the viewers, hey, if anybody wants their kitchen, if they want that same makeover, then email me and Jason can come out to your house and help you with what you have in your kitchen. And I sent her the email, and a couple weeks later, I ended up on the morning news. I didn't quite realize she was going to announce my weight loss goal there, but I did definitely hit that weight loss goal. And I actually sent her a message because with it being Celiac Awareness Month, I want more people to be aware. I want to raise the advocacy and education around this and to help other people out. So we're actually going to be filming next week in my house, and she wants to do a progress update. So it was 7 years ago. That I started on this journey with getting healthier, and there's going to be some before and afters. There's going to be some fun stuff. So I'm excited and so totally nervous about this all at the same time, but it's going to be fun. So I will try to pull the video or try to pull the post that actually had the videos for where my journey started 7 years ago and the different things that I had to learn about what I needed to change out in my house in order to eat a healthier way for gluten-free, for the fact that I have celiac. So I will post that. It's probably going to be a little bit later. I've got to get my daughter to Duke to get her EEG stuff removed. So it might be later this evening when I get that posted in the comments. So tomorrow's topic is going to be resources. What are some of those resources for the newly diagnosed and for those that are still struggling, that are looking for some answers? Because there's some great information out there and there's some not so great information out there. So tomorrow I'm going to talk about some resources that will help you out. Thank you guys. Have an amazing day. If you find this helpful, please share this. Comment below if you have questions, if there's another topic you want me to cover. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you.